Hello, Team Life Changers. Welcome to our Monday evening team call. I always want to say Monday night, but depends on where you live in the United States. Some of it's like mid-afternoon. We have people from California. But anyway, glad you are on the call tonight or watching. Maybe you're watching this later. We always start our calls with shout outs for Success Club. We still have a few more days, and you could mute your lines when you hop on. That'd be awesome. Still time to hit Success Club. Definitely still time to do that. We've seen people like slide into home base right at the very end of the month. So, all right. So right now on the board, Miriam Helton is at 4 points because I got your back and I updated it for you, girlfriend. I know you were driving. Kathy Park is 1 coach and 2 points. Tiffany Jefferson, 1 coach, 5 points. She is at Success Club. Whoop, whoop. Pat Thompson, 3 coaches, 6 points. Cindy DePinto, 1 coach and 6 points. Gina Campbell is at 8 points. I updated it, but I didn't change the number in it, but I think she said she was at 8 points. So awesome. Teresa Sowers, 2 coaches and 10 points. Rebecca Thompson, 4 coaches and 12 points. And Cindy Lanninga, hello, 1 coach and 16 points. Girl, you need to be leading a team call. How are you getting 16 points, girl? You go. That's awesome. So I am so proud of this team. And you know that if you hit Success Club this month, Robbie Carter offered, and like, I can't even tell you, I'm going to say this, but so I hop on another call and like I hopped on there and Robbie was on there and there's other diamonds that pop on and we were kind of discussing it before the other people popped on. Because he hasn't offered this to the other teams, but they kind of heard him and he was like, so I just want you to know, I'm just saying that to let you know he does not do this for all teams. Life Changers, he just sees something in Life Changers. So I think very, very, very exciting. All right, we are going to, so if you're hopping on, I'm going to let you mute your lines, please. I'm going to run over some announcements. I'm super excited to have Teresa on. She is... she's a counselor at her church, and she's going to start talking to us about personalities and how that can help us in our business. But before we get there, I want to go over just a few announcements. We are doing the 2020, okay, because like someone's line's not muted. Let me go through here and mute. Oops. The 2020 challenge. So when I achieved the rank, I pushed really hard to get that, not rank, whatever that is in the Epic Empire, the goal, achieving the silver level, because I wanted to have 2 of you guys get the mastermind session with Chitana. And I thought, well, we could do that thing of sign up more coaches. But I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to take it back down to what the reason we are here for, and that is to get results. And ultimately, when we help people get results, it is going to augment your business. So, and this is going to be available to anybody, not just top coaches who already know the business. It can be downline coaches. It can be someone that just started yesterday. You help 2 people, 2 brand new challengers to lose 20 pounds. So the first 2 people that achieve that, okay, so the first 2 coaches that have 2 people that lose 20 pounds, you will get the mastermind session with Chitana Jackson. And Chitana is amazing because I have watched her for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And she's great at this business. I've learned so much from her, just even from watching her, not even from talking with her. I've just watched her. It's been amazing. So, and she's really good when you do have the one-on-ones with her. She can tell you, oh, we'll just do this. Oh, we'll just do that. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So she's very gifted in that. She can see things that other people can't see. So that is well worth helping 2 people lose 20 pounds. So get in on that. You can use the Big Monkey I put in Life Changers, or you can make your own, but that is going to be a great way to augment and maybe even get your Success Club for the end of the month for sure. All right. The other announcement is I want to mention Summit. At this point, I just know that you have to be registered for your tracks by the 30th, which is just 4 days from now. So if you've already purchased your ticket, you need to get on there and register and get on your track. I think we are all track, the blue, whether it's blue track or Hall D or blue hall and track D, whichever it is, it's blue and it's D. Nobody got lunches because there's vendors there. We are working out with Jericho and Joel, or Joel and Jericho. It's a brother, sister, so that we could all be together. And there is still room. If you have not signed up for Summit and you would like to go, we do have a little extra room because we got another house, which is awesome. I had never dreamed in 1,000 years. I thought I was going to Summit, just me with Epic. And to have 10 of us going from Life Changers, I just can't even say how exciting that is. So there is still room, and it is $75 for your entire stay. You have to purchase your ticket, but just $75 because we all split the cost. So $75 will cover your whole stay if you would like to go. So that's Summit. I also want to mention Wake Up Call. I don't know if you guys heard the Wake Up Call this morning. It was really good for a couple of reasons. One reason is because I love the fact that she admitted that she had a slower start. She said that she took 5 months before she hit Emerald, and it took her over a year to hit Diamond. And in all honesty, that would be my story as well, because I was already kind of sewing into people and kind of getting a fitness thing going on before I jumped into the business. So I just want to use that to encourage you. It takes time to gain people's trust. So don't think that, oh, I just signed up and I'm going to go post and I'm going to start hitting Success Club every month. Yes, that is a goal. And yes, you definitely want to hit Success Club every month. That is definitely a goal. But I'm just going to be real. And maybe like if Robbie Carter was on this, he'd be like, Rebecca, don't say that. But I'm just telling you, if you don't hit Success Club 1 month, it is not the end of your business. It's not the end. It's not the end of the world. You can still help people achieve whatever God has you to achieve in people's lives. So do not, and I literally had 2 coaches from Epic Empire contact me just this week, like in asking me. I even had Jatana contact me and was asking, okay, I need your help to encourage these people. And it's like, I'm just being real. Like, it's not the end of the world if you don't hit Success Club. But don't tell Robbie, because we definitely want those calls with Robbie. We want to do what we can to meet the business, but that can't, we want to set our goals and do that. But that just gave me hope today too, of, you know what, we go with the flow, and we are, and there's verses that say we are responsible for what God's given us, and that's our responsibility to take care of who we have in our challenge groups right now. Another thing that I want to say, and the reason I'm making an announcement about this is because remember when I very first started this, and some of the coaches that have been with me for a while, we all did our challenge groups together. And then we got to a point where I'm like, okay, it's time to fly the coop, and I was like really nervous to let people fly the coop. Now, I'm not telling people to fly the coop from Life Changers, so do not panic about that. But there was something in the call that made me think this may be beneficial for my coaches. When I signed up with Jatana, I knew that I was going to be under Jatana, but I knew that I was going to do my own thing. And I knew that there was going to be an element of, I was starting all together. So I think Cindy DePinto and Melinda, and there were a lot of other people that were in, put everybody in Epic in the very beginning. And now I don't put people in Epic for a few reasons. And I'm learning this now, and even as my downline coaches, as you guys were getting coaches, it was just too far of a stretch for people because they have you as the leader, and then Rebecca's a leader of Life Changers, and then Jatana's a leader. It's too much stuff going on. And you guys know, I know Patty, where's Patty? Patty's not on yet. But she was saying the notifications are everywhere. Oh, she's on the phone.
Yeah, I'm on the phone.
Notifications everywhere, and they're coming through my email, and I was like, girl, turn off those notifications because you're going to be getting stuff from me all the live long day. Just go in and check those groups. All right, I'm saying all of this information to tell you, sometimes when you have, I've seen this with challengers, who people have like been interested in, I want to lose the weight, but they never jumped in my challenge group. But then say, a prime example would be Cindy Laniga. She was on here earlier. Some of those, oh, she is, there she is. I'm trying to pick for you guys. There were people that had tagged me like months ago when I first started, but they never joined my challenge group. As soon as Cindy hit it, immediately, they were her very first challengers. And the reason being, as Teresa's going to get into it tonight, is personalities. There are going to be things that people will want to glean from Cindy that I'm too much of a fire hose, and they'll be like, Rebecca's just too much. And the reason I say your challengers trust you. They have joined under you. They want you to be their coach. And if they sign up to be a coach, they want you to be their leader. So I'm planting these seeds. I'm not telling you to jump out of Life Changers, because you need to stay in Life Changers. But at some point, start thinking of, do I need to create my own team page so that I can jump up to that place of leadership and start pouring down? My mornings, literally, I'm rooting. It's kind of like going through the closet in the morning trying to find something to wear. I am rooting through all of these other groups that I'm a part of, trying to find things that are of value to give to you guys. I don't just post to be posting. I truly think of, and I bypass a lot of stuff, but if I think something is of value that will apply to Team Life Changers, I grab that and I plug it into you guys. And it's there. If you have time to watch it, read it, listen to it, it is there for you guys. And you can start doing that for your coaches under you. There may be stuff that I post there, they're like, it may not apply to them at all. I will see stuff that Jatana posts. I'm like, that does not relate to Life Changers at all. So I don't post it. So I'm just saying that for you to kind of think about that in ways that you can maybe start seeing yourself as a leader, because I think we need to see ourselves as a leader first and have that confidence of, my challengers and my coaches really do like me. They really want information from me. They don't have to get it from Rebecca or Jatana. They can get it straight from you, and start thinking about your team pages. And that all came from the team call, because I never want to do a disservice to you guys and say, I know it all, and put all your people with me, because Lord, He knows I do not. All of you guys are so valuable, and you have what your people need. Last thing, this is what I do with, and what maybe you could do with your coaches. This is how I treat Jatana, and this is how I was, like my peers, so like there's Jatana, and she has some coaches under her. So these are my peer coaches that we were talking today. And I told them what I do now is I don't just add my coaches to Jatana's group. When I can see that they are excelling and they need something more, then I use Epic Empire as a, okay, you've achieved this, you have earned this, I can tell that you were hungry for more. And when they're ready, because if you do it too soon, it's too much, then I will put them in Epic Empire. And then they see it as like a promotion or whatever. And I would say that for you guys, once you start having your team and people who really want to do the business, and it may be 3 of you guys, that's okay. It may just be the 3 of you guys. And you can say, and use that as, okay, I'm, that's just what I use, how I use Jatana. And at some point that may be how you want to see Life Changers. If you have your own team page, be like, okay, if you need more, I'm going to put you in Life Changers, I don't know, that might be a little premature just yet, because I think we're all still learning how to be coaches, but just keep that in the back of your mind. All right, I'm done talking. I just want to make sure I got that out before I turn it over to Teresa. So Teresa joined me she joined as a challenger February 1st, and she is now an Emerald coach. She has signed 4 coaches. She just signed a coach, was it last night? So very proud of you, Teresa. I'm excited. She is a counselor at her church. She has lots of experience with people, personalities, how people interact, and I'm just really excited to have you on the call tonight. So take it over, Teresa.
Okay. As Beck said, I do counseling for our church, and I've been doing that for over 17 years. It's hard to believe. And through the years, I have accumulated a lot of information and a lot of resources to help people realize where they're at so they can get where they need to be. And if I had to pick half a dozen things that I've encountered over the years that I think are invaluable to a person, whether it's individual counseling and helping an individual, or whether it's couple counseling or even family counseling, if I had to pick half a dozen things, this thing with personalities would be one of those half a dozen things that I think everybody, regardless of what you're trying to do in your own personal life or in relationships that you have, I think that understanding how we ourselves are wired and how the people that we interact are wired, I think it's priceless. And it's, please, please, please do not hear me say that this is a manipulative tool. Oh, if I know what gym you are, I can get you to do what I want. That's not what this is at all. It is to understand my wiring and how my wiring interacts with yours. And every gem, every personality that we're going to talk about tonight, every single one of them are unique in and of themselves. And every single one of them have value. Every single one has strengths, but every single one also comes with weaknesses and things that we need to be aware of within ourselves and to be cautious with. There are certain personalities that tend to grate each other in different kinds of ways, and we're going to talk about that. But if you will take the time to understand the 4 personality types and to understand a little bit about how each one is wired, how each one works, whether it's in your relationship with a spouse, whether it's with your children, whether it is with coworkers, or as we're doing here, your coaches and your challengers on your teams. This is just one of the big tools that you want to have in your tool belt. So I'm going to clip through. I'm going to share my screen. Everybody see that? Cool. Okie dokie. So, a gem of a personality. Understanding that there are 4 basic personality types. No one person is 100% in, and I have messages popping up here. No one person is 100% one personality. We are usually a blend of 2 that come out to be really strong. Some of us have one, such as myself. I am very, very strong in one particular personality type, and I have a few attributes of the others, but one really strong one. But most of the time, people have a blend of 2 personality types that come through most of the time. And our personalities, the way that we're wired, they affect how we feel, our emotions and interactions with life, the way that we think, the reason that we do what we do is very much coming from our personalities. And as I said earlier, I think it's very important and very helpful if we will take the time to understand ourselves and learn how to operate in our strengths and use caution with our weaknesses. It's just invaluable with all the different relationships that we have with people. So for purposes of discussion, we're going to look at 4 types of personalities, and we are going with the ruby, the sapphire, the pearl, and the emerald. And I like sort of kindergarten ways of approaching things. It helps me remember. And so what I did, so that once we go through the explanation of the personalities, if you can remember the key words, for example, a ruby with the R, reign, rule, and results. Those are 3 key words that a ruby is operating on: rain, rule, and results. For the sapphire, they like to stir things up, and they're really good at swaying people. They are the spark that ignites whatever event is going on. So if you remember those words: stir, sway, and spark for the sapphire. A pearl is a protector, a pal, and a partner. They're all about that relationship stuff. Protector, pal, partner. And then for the emerald, they are your evaluators, your experts, and they like to be exact when they tackle a task. So those are just some key buzzwords that will help you remember once you get the basic knowledge of the various personality types. These buzzwords will help you remember what they are. So in looking at the 4 personality types, the way that I have them arranged here is it will be helpful to help you understand. If you look at the ruby and the sapphire, those two are very energetic and they're very much extroverted. They are all about people and interactions, and they are energized by people. If you look at the emerald and the pearl, they are more laid back, more reserved, more introverted. People are going to sometimes be exhausting for the pearl and the emerald. And then if you look on going from left to right, the ruby and the emerald, they are very focused on the task at hand. And if they're not careful, they can overlook people in an effort to accomplish whatever task they're working on. Where the sapphire and the pearl, their priority is people. They will neglect the task in order to invest and to spend time with people. And so that organization helps you kind of understand the energy and the extrovert, the laid back, the introvert, and then whether the task or the people are the priority for those various personality types. Anybody have any questions? Okay. So let's look at the 4 individual types. For each one, I'm going to look at 5 different categories. So we're going to look at the style, a ruby style. A ruby has a very dominant personality. They really like to be in charge and in control. And they're very goal-oriented. It's all about getting the job done. They are not very likely to stop and smell the roses along the way, and they really like a challenge. So when you think about yourself and you think about the people on your teams or in your families or your children or your spouses, you can keep some of those relationships in mind as we go through these. So that's a ruby style. A ruby is going to be motivated if you give them a difficult task, something that they can rise to, and a ruby is very much motivated if you give them something to be in charge of, so that they can oversee an activity or a task. With the rubies, their wants and needs, a ruby very much needs to make their own decisions. They are not going to take well to you telling them what to do. You can give them the information, but they operate better if they can then make their own decisions. They like to be their own boss. They are very reward oriented, and I see Beck smiling. Wonder why? They like a goal to achieve, and again, they like a challenge. So you think about the rubies in your lives and see if these aren't making sense. All right, here's where it comes to what we are about. A ruby is going to follow a leader who makes clear the goal or the task, gives very clear, direct instructions on how we're going to get the tasks done. A ruby would much rather have a bottom line. They do not like a lot of detail. They want just the bottom line points. They're very bullet point people. Use as few words as possible, and again, for a ruby, you focus on the goal and the task. A ruby is going to need to be reminded. These are the things that we need to be mindful of within ourselves. If you're a ruby, these are the things you need to be mindful of. If you have rubies in your lives, these are the things you're going to gently get them to recognize. A ruby is going to need to remind themselves that they need to learn how to rest and relax, and that it is not a bad thing to rest and relax and to have fun. A ruby is going to need to learn to come in under authority. Just as Beck was saying, you know, the upline, she has to learn how to work in and under them, and Jatana. A ruby is very much going to have to remember that people are a priority over the task. You cannot run roughshod over people in order to get a task done. Just can't do that. And a ruby is going to need to work really hard to learn to work as a team rather than taking the reins and running with it and leaving everybody else behind. A ruby has to be careful that they don't become a taskmaster and just barking out commands. And then what God would say to a ruby, to be kind, patient, and loving toward other people. A ruby has to learn how to practice self-control. And you need to learn how to be a servant leader. Any questions about the ruby or comments? Sapphire. Sapphire style. They are very friendly, fun-loving. Your sapphires are going to be the life of the party. Everybody wants to be around a sapphire. They are the people who are going to, sometimes in almost, it seems miraculous how they are able to influence people and get them on board with what is going on. Sometimes even though it may not be a good idea, they have the power to influence people. They're very much a motivator. A sapphire is motivated by applause. They like recognition. They like to be rewarded. They like affirmation, and they like public recognition of their accomplishments. And they like to be seen as being a good person, a positive person, that they're contributing to whatever it is that you're about. They like that recognition, and they like for it to be public. A sapphire wants and needs. They very much need interaction with people, almost sometimes to exhaustion. Sapphires can exhaust some of the personalities that are more introverted than others. They very much like to be seen and heard, and that can become obnoxious if it's not reined in. They like recognition for accomplishments. But they do not like a lot of detail. And you really have to make whatever you're about, you really have to make it fun for them to be engaged and to stay engaged. A sapphire, if you have sapphires that you are leading, they need a leader who is about relationship. It cannot just be about getting the task done. And as a leader, you are going to have to remember to applaud them for anything that they achieve, and again, to remember to do that public when you can. And a sapphire is going to shut down on you if you bog them down with a lot of rules, regulations, and instructions. So you have to figure out how to lead a sapphire without making it about rules and regulation. You have to make them want to do it, not feel like they have to do it. God would say to a sapphire that there is a time to play, but there is also a time to work. Sapphires need to learn self-control and self-discipline with work and with their interactions with people. And sapphires especially have to learn how to rein in their tongue, because many times a sapphire is going to speak before they think. Questions about sapphires? Pearl. A pearl style. Pearl is very much about relationship. That is high priority, sometimes the only priority. A Pearl does not like change. We like things to stay the same, and if there is going to be change, a Pearl needs time to adjust to change. A Pearl is going to be your peacemaker. They are all about keeping the peace. They do not like conflict. A Pearl is going to be very loyal, even to a fault. They are going to be loyal to a person that they are in relationship with, even to their own detriment. And a Pearl is going to prefer a situation, an environment that feels safe and secure. A Pearl is going to be motivated by reliability. They need to know that a situation or a person or relationship is reliable and dependable. And a Pearl absolutely is going to have encouragement. You have to, if you have a Pearl in your family or on your team, you need to be a cheerleader for them. They respond very well to you cheering them on and motivating them with that kind of an approach. A Pearl wants or needs, they very much need to feel part of a group or a family. The Pearls need routine. They need structure, things that are dependable and reliable every time. A peaceful environment. You have to be very careful with your Pearls if there are things that you need to address with a Pearl, because their hearts get hurt easily. And again, as I said earlier, a Pearl is going to need some time to adjust to a change. So if you can tell them ahead of time it's coming and help them get prepared for it, it'll work better. And they need a friendly, personal approach to whatever it is that how you're working with a Pearl. A leader of a Pearl is going to need to be patient, because a Pearl does not move very fast. They need time to process, time to adjust. As a leader of a Pearl, you're going to have a softer, more personal approach. You can't be abrupt. You can't be harsh. Even your tone can affect a Pearl. And a leader has to recognize that change and doing something different is going to be a difficult task for a Pearl. A Pearl is going to need to be reminded that change is not always a bad thing. Change is many times a good thing. A Pearl is going to need to learn to stand up for themselves. Pearls many times get run over by some of the other personalities. And one of the big things with Pearls that they need to learn is that taking care of other people, serving other people is good, but they have to learn how to serve others without it being a detriment to themselves, because they will give it all and then some. Many times your Pearls are going to be more of the doormat kind of personality if they're not careful. And then God would say to a Pearl, that you have not been given a spirit of fear. They have to guard against worry and fear. A Pearl has to learn to be strong and courageous and to not shrink back from difficult tasks and conflict. And then a Pearl very much needs to be told that they have to love themselves as much as other people. Questions about a Pearl? Emeralds, their style are very much about getting the job done, and an emerald is going to get the job done right. They're cautious in taking on a task, but your emerald is going to be the one who actually reads the instruction book. And they're going to be very much paying attention to the detail of a task and clipping that off their to-do list. An emerald is going to be motivated by things being done well and right. They are not going to be happy if they can't be proud and pleased with the final result. An emerald wants and needs to have very detailed instructions. The instructions that you would give to an emerald need to be very clear, concise, and contain a lot of detail. There's going to have to be structure for an emerald to feel comfortable and be able to function. They need clearly defined parameters. You have to help them set the boundaries. This is what you're working in. You're going to have to recognize that they do not like risk. An emerald needs very little risk involved in what they're doing. They do not handle failure, a sense of failure, very well. And again, an emerald, just like a pearl, is going to need to think before giving you a response. Some of the personalities, the sapphire and the ruby, they think very quick on their feet, but the emerald and the pearl need a little more time to think before they respond. If you have emeralds that you are leading, again, you're going to have to get used to giving them very detailed instructions, and most of the time they might need to come more than once just so they can be sure that they're going to get it right. You're also going to have to give them the resources that they need to get the job done. You're going to have to be willing to listen to them in detail. And for your rubies and sapphires, that can be painful to do that at times. And you've got to let them know that you have confidence in their abilities to get the job done. They need to be recognized for their work. But an emerald, like the others, needs to be reminded to not get lost in the detail. An emerald has a tendency to get all caught up in the details, and sometimes it can paralyze them, and they won't get anything done if they're not careful. An emerald's going to have to be careful and distinguish between doing a job well and falling into perfectionism. An emerald is going to need to learn how to take a risk, to step outside of their comfort zone, and to learn that that can be a good thing, but it is going to be very scary for them. And then they, too, are going to need to learn that people are more important than the task. And then finally, what God would say to an emerald: stop worrying. Speak words that build up and not tear down. An emerald is going to be very factual in their communication, and sometimes, again, they will miss the person interaction that's needed. And then an emerald is going to have to be careful to take time to rest, because they get so focused on the job at hand, they can neglect to rest. Questions on the emerald? All right, I want to go back up. Let me clip back up real quick. Now that you have a little bit of an overview of the 4 different personalities, and this is a big deal in counseling arenas and psychology arenas, and they use different terms for their testing. And every time that I have looked at it, in whatever form the test is given for personalities, whether it's more technical and scientific, or to me, I like this because it is it's a visual. I can understand a ruby where I have trouble understanding some of the more scientific terms. But every time that I have looked at it, they put them in this formation. One, as I said earlier, so that you can see that ruby and sapphire are energetic and extroverted, and that they are going to rub against the laid-back, introverted emerald and pearl. You're also going to have a rub with sapphires and pearls, because they're about people. They are going to rub with the ruby and the emerald because they are more concerned about the task. And then within this, this square formation, your ruby and pearl are going to oftentimes be at odds with each other directly, because a ruby is very, very dominant, very energetic, very extroverted, very much about the task, very dominant, and the pearl is almost exactly the opposite. They are much more laid back, introverted, they're all about people, and so a ruby and a pearl personality are going to, they have a tendency to clash with each other. And to rub each other. And the same with the emerald and the sapphire, because they are almost opposite each other. And Emerald is very task-oriented, introverted, very much about detail, and a Sapphire is much more about fun, about people. They're just out there. And so those two personalities have a tendency to clash more than some of the others. So I wanted you to bring you back to this so you can see that in this formation, once you understand a bit about the different personalities in this square formation, you can see where you are. And I'll give you an example. I am a Pearl. I am an off the chart in my score of a Pearl. And I have rubies in my life, and I have to be careful and do a lot of self-talk, because rubies, they can sometimes quite honestly scare me. And rubies are graded by me because, Beck's laughing. Guess what Beck is? And pearls are going to grate a ruby's last nerve, because we are much more about the heart and what are people going to think and feel, and let's all just get along, and that's going to grate a ruby's last nerve. And so for me to learn how to operate in my personality and to understand that everybody's not like me, and that everybody has value, that I have strengths and weaknesses, and so does everybody else. And I hope that in this very quick teaching and exposure to these things, some things are beginning to click with you. The very first time I was exposed to this and I understood the personalities, I had such tremendous insight into my marriage relationship, I thought I was going to fall off my chair. This is why we do what we do in our marriage relationship. And as I've applied it to people that I interact with, it just makes sense. And so once I'm aware of the fact that, for example, Beck is a ruby and I'm a pearl, I understand what I need to step up to give her, but then she does the same thing back to me. And it's a mutual respect in the relationship. So there you have it. Any questions, comments?
You want to hop out? Are you done sharing your screen? Maybe
Yes.
You can hop out so you can see other people. And then we can also, I'm going to stop recording at some point too, because once we get into personality stuff, you know, because it goes on YouTube and there's some things you just don't want.
Oh, did I just share with the whole world? Sorry.
But if there's any questions that you can ask that might be helpful for other people that would be watching, then we'll get into the nitty gritty. Then we'll have a sleepover talk. Work out jammies and cookie dough. All right, this is the reason you want to be on team calls, so that you can get in the nitty gritties. I'm going to stop the recording.